make a living. Crypto is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradigm. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees.
Good morning from Paradise Surfers. My name is Crypto Amaru, and we have Crypto Hitman in the house as always. Happy to be here, guys. It is Tuesday, October 14th. I thought we were supposed to recommence up only, Uptober, bull market. We obviously had this big leverage flush out over the weekend, and I'm thinking, here, yesterday we're back. We're back, baby. Market pump recommencing. And then, bam. Trade wars FUD out of left field. What is going on with these trade wars? We will cover what you guys need to know and how we think it's going to impact markets going forward. We got some CZ news as well. That guy is just carrying this whole damn industry on his back, isn't he? Shout out to CZ. Good work, my friend. And we're gonna take a broad look at the macro stories that we think are going to impact the markets as this month unfolds and into November and December as well. So, yesterday I was feeling good. Okay. The leverage flush out behind us. Surely, market sees everything was oversold. Traders, investors will be buying the dip. And it did happen for a day. And then all of a sudden, bam, we got trade war FUD back rearing its ugly head. So, that's our lead story today. I don't know if you followed that much here, Nick, but China and the U.S., can't we just get along?
Yeah, I mean, that's people speculate that was what the flush out was, or what part of the flush out was that started it in Friday with Trump tweeting, and then on Sunday he tweeted again, took it back, market started surging, and now China's talking, saying they'll fight till the end. Again, to me, I thought we were already past this tariff FUD in April when we crashed and everybody was making the 201k jokes, and now we're up, 60% from that level, new all-time highs in the stock markets. Tariffs don't create inflation. Tariffs have only helped the government raise capital, and really there's always been tariffs against China, and there's been on and off 100% tariffs against China for all year. So I thought it was a kind of a nothing burger. Obviously, maybe it tripped some things. It's got the markets in different volatility going on, so maybe it is something. But I'm still leaning on the side that it is nothing, kind of a nothing burger here. And, we have filled the futures gap on Bitcoin because the wick that occurred over the weekend did not count towards that CME gap. Now this is the first time the CME gap has been filled when the traditional markets are actually open. So if you're a technical trader, usually these gaps fill. That means the dump today, this morning, to 110,000 kind of filled that. Now we're back to 111. Was that it? Is it doom and gloom for crypto, or are we just putting in a higher low after the liquidity crisis we saw over the weekend? What do you think, Crypto Amaru?
You know me, I'm never doom and gloom. You take a long-term view and you're up only. You're waking up smiling every day. But yeah, if you look on the, the short-term time frames, then you might get a little upset from time to time. But I think this was, a little bit, I don't want to call it manufactured, but this is kind of a old story, isn't it, with these quote, trade wars. And I will share my screen here, and we can show you a little bit more about what we're talking about. But this all started, I believe it was last Friday, right, when Trump came out. Well, actually, that's not where it started. It started... And of course, Guardian, being a liberal paper, buried the lead here. But it started when China started to exert stronger controls on these rare earth metals, which you need these rare earths to build all the chips that's powering the AI revolution and really, in a sense, powering the economy as well to some degree. So these are very important. The problem is China controls like 90% of them. If anyone needs a reason why we actually need tariffs and why we need some trade barriers at times and different strategies to protect our interests, here's a prime example. This is what happens when you allow one country, who's a quote adversary, to corner and monopoly a sector of the economy and a product, in this case the rare earth metals, that many other industries rely on. Way too risky to have one country control 90% of something. Trying to decide where to exert these controls.
You're a little choppy over there. I don't know what's going on with your audio. Maybe too many tabs or something, but it looks like you might have. Yeah, you're on like a lag there.
Stop sharing.
Yeah, I mean that's very interesting. It's kind of the nature of the beast. Why China versus America is a thing, and I think it all resolves itself. I don't think we live in a world of World War III and killing each other on the biggest stage, at least the biggest countries. And China and America go head to head. They're always going to be butting heads. They're always trying to get the upper hand. They're directly competing with each other in so many parts of the economy and global infrastructure and global finances. And I think all this kind of blows over and there's some kind of resolution that, makes this in the back mirror again. And ultimately, prices continue to go higher. Now, there has been rumors that, Chinese government's going to tell all the Chinese investors to dump the American markets and American investments and all this other stuff. Look, I don't know how this all plays out. It's way above our pay grade. But again, when it comes to just the tariff narrative that everybody seems to be pushing, this is the same thing we heard in April. Like, we've already resolved all that. We see interest rates down. We see interest rates going to be cut again here in 2 weeks. Quantitative easing is underway, and traditional historical market cycles tell us we're going higher as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to look at the backdrop of the financial markets and relate it back to the story a little bit and understand we were at all-time highs across the board for basically the entire S&P 500. Certainly the Magnificent Seven, up 60, 70% since the April sell-off. I think the market was kind of looking for an excuse for a bit of a correction. Looking for a little bit of a reason to pump the brakes on what could have been a runaway melt up, which we were heading in that direction. So a little bit of a pause, a little bit of a breather in the markets, I think totally normal. Let's see how this story plays out. My guess is both countries end up walking back some of this rhetoric, and they come to some sort of negotiated settlement, you could call it, right? Around, there's a lot of tariffs flying back and forth. It's not just the rare earths. It's not just whatever, the U.S. is doing with these shipping lanes, and the story I pulled up had a lot of different examples of tariffs that are going to be enacted apparently around November 1st or maybe November 10th as well. But I think they end up getting negotiated to some degree, and the market calms down, and we can focus on more important things like what's the Fed going to do in 14 days, right? Which is much more impactful to me than any tariff story could ever be.
Polymarket has that as almost a foregone conclusion that interest rates will get cut. But also, what's going on with our personal wallets in the trenches? This is why Binance just remains a cycle after cycle winner. It's leadership like this. CZ being active, CZ pushing the trenches, but also they put their money where their mouth is. Now BNB Chain and 4Meme Launch, which is their launch pad, kind of like Pump Fun on Solana or Pump Tires on Pulse Chain, is taking $45 million and calling it a reload airdrop with ecosystem partners. And it is going to randomly airdrop cash to market participants who traded 4Meme coins on BSC during that short-lived 3-day Binance meme season. What does this do? I mean, this shows, hey, not only are we making revenues, we're going to inject some of that back into Binance, into the BNB token, but we're going to inject some of that back into our users' wallets, and they're calling it a reload airdrop. Like, hey, some of you won, some of you lost. Well, let's reload those wallets with some fresh stable coins or fresh BNB and get back into the trenches to find the next hidden gem. Now, I don't know about you. Will people be smart with that and take it to BNB? Will people go back into the trenches to try to hit the home run? Doesn't really matter. This is kind of unheard of. While Pump Tires or Pump Fun was extracting $700 million from Solana and raising $1 billion, here's 4Meme, brand new, getting paid for by Binance and now giving back $45 million to its users due to the excessive volatility we saw during that 3-day Binance meme coin cycle.
That deserves a cheer. I was a little late. Let's go. Thank you, CZ. First of all, shouldn't it have been a $44 million airdrop?
Yeah, so Binance or CZ made a tweet and said, "Hey, this was 44 million. That's what we put in there." But then somebody else added another million, messing up the meme. So
No
CZ's
shit.
saying, "We wish you would have kept your $1 million for something else, so we could have had the 4-4 meme going."
Oh my goodness! Imagine just having $1 million lying around to willingly give back to meme coin degenerates. That guy's doing well for himself. But in any event, yeah, man, this is to me the fundamental difference. First of all, between BNB and Solana, and then also why I think this run on BNB in the meme coin ecosystem that CZ is building out there, why it is going to end up being sustainable, at least to some degree. It won't last forever, but it'll be much more sustainable than I think what happened in the Solana trenches. There's leadership here. There's money here. There is someone who has an altruistic viewpoint, you could argue, in the form of CZ here, right? And here's the prime example, $45 million being given back to people in the trenches. Could you imagine Pump Fund doing this or any one in the Solana ecosystem? I don't think Solana has a lot of like leadership similar to CZ. I know they have a founder, but he's not the same. I mean, Solana's trying to be like a decentralized network. CZ is like a businessman who's trying to pump people's bag and make money for him and his investors. So it's a very different mindset. I'm quite bullish on this. I think we continue to see BNB outperform. We continue to see the meme coin trenches in BNB thrive. Now, of course, there's risk, and you're not going to have only winners, and there's going to be plenty of rug pulls, et cetera, et cetera. But to me, this BNB chain story around memes, it's not slowing down. It's just going to accelerate the second half of this bull run.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not going to make you rich most likely. I mean, if they did a straight 45 million to 160,000 wallets, that's something like $225. But I know there's going to be kind of a blanket airdrop to these wallets, and then they said there's going to be some random airdrops happening. So maybe they're trying to, keep speculation on, hey, go check your wallet, see if you randomly got a bigger airdrop, a bigger reload airdrop there. So I don't know. We'll see how it works. Nonetheless, I think it's good overall. Won't make you rich, but if I get $225 in stable coins for being a degenerate and over on BSC, I'll take it.
Well, what it does too is it allows those who maybe didn't get their airdrop or maybe did to continue to speculate. Hey, is trading on BNB sort of like less risky now because I might get a future airdrop, right? Who knows? It may happen again. It may not, but it might. So this is going to compel, I think, more people to come over from Solana into BNB. It's going to give the folks who are already in that ecosystem greater confidence that, hey, CZ has our backs. This is a different ethos and philosophy here, not quite as PvP, and maybe it's a little bit less risky because, hey, I may get made whole again. If I invest $250, I lose it. Maybe an airdrop coming out line makes me whole.
Yeah, I mean, another thing, too, is remember after the liquidation crisis, Binance pulled together like $280 million to give back to users that were negatively affected by that as well. Like, when does that happen in crypto? That doesn't mean everybody's going to be made whole. That doesn't mean there wasn't winners and losers. But that does mean, hey, they care a little bit about what's going on with their customers, and anything that was a little abnormal, they're trying to funnel funds back into those accounts and allow them to keep momentum, keep morale, keep those people trading on their platform and on their network. So in just a couple days, $280 million to negative affected leverage traders, $45 million to meme traders. I mean, what's next? I know the Astra airdrop's happening on the 20th for people who.
That's what they want, right? They want people to speculate. Hey, what's coming next over on these respective Binance-based platforms, right? Am I going to get reimbursed? Am I going to airdrop? What meme is CZ going to pump next with a tweet? I mean, all of this stuff is happening just on BNB. None of it's happening on Solana. Certainly none of it's happening in Ethereum, where meme coins are basically dead and have been dead. So, if you want to follow the attention, the capital and liquidity, and the positive vibes, well, first of all, listen to Crypto Paradise. But second of all, you may want to dust off your BNB, your smart chain address, and get your trade in. So, all right. With that, I want to say what's up to some of the viewers. What's going on, Todd? Got to have you on the show soon, my friend. Let's get Todd as a guest coming on. I want to hear from him. Moonmutt, dude, you're absolutely right. I assumed you already had surf. Like, come on, we got to get you a bag. We got to get you in the Dow. I mean, that's where the magic happens. It's tempting. It's very tempting. I agree.
200,000 surf or more gets you in the Dow. 400,000 surf or more gets you in the opportunities that are printing us money, like the Frontier Fund.
My goodness.
And right now, with Pulse Chain down, with Surf down, with the market kind of down, you can get 400,000 surf for very, very cheap in terms of where it's been in the past and where it's going in the future.
Yeah, man. I mean, you just think about that risk reward, right? I think surf, hopefully at the lows, we went over the chart yesterday, so not a huge risk there, plenty of upside. But then you get access to Frontier Fund, which is making like 30% a month, or at least did this month. Last month I think was 15, but nonetheless, I mean that's incredible returns. I think in this market, right, it's hard to find consistent returns. I know we've brought out some gems and brought out some alpha calls here over the past few days. They started out very low, went a little bit higher. We can get to some of those in a bit. So definitely multiples to be had there, but man, that stuff's short-lived. So if you want something a little bit more sustainable, a little bit, I can just step away and not pay attention as much. Frontier Fund staring you in the face. And of course, we have Meek Chapo here, who I think continues to log in from his son's account. We got to get your own YouTube account. I don't know what's going on with that, but good to see you. Good to see everybody. So, yeah, what are we looking forward to here? I guess, yeah, let's go over the charts a bit. But
yeah, I mean, this is the NASDAQ. We want to see what's going on today. Down 1.4% as China rebutted against Trump there. Now, what's funny is all their rebuttals always tail off to, well, we're still willing to negotiate, though. That's why I think that this all blows over. They're both hard-headed presidents. They both care about their countries. They both want their countries to succeed. But they understand that negotiations with two of the largest superpowers in the world when it comes to finance, industry, exports, imports is necessary for economic prosperity of their citizens. So I think something gets resolved. We'll see what happens there. Remember, they're supposed to be meeting, but also they're going to be meeting. There's some kind of conference going on very soon at which they're going to be meeting at as well at the end of October. Also, right when the Fed is supposed to be probably cutting rates. So you're going to have Fed cutting rates, then you're going to have Trump seeing the president of China in person at the end of October, shake hands, act all powerful on camera, go behind the scenes and be like, oh yeah, we figured out a way to both win here, and then things continue to move through the end of the year, in my assumption. But if you've been following along with NASDAQ, we've been talking about an ABC correction isn't out of the cards, and support would be just around 24,000, and then again back here to 23,000. So would that spook people? Sure. Is that really a big percentage gain? Not real drop. I mean, not really. 1.5% lower there, down to 5% drop. So, people would be like, oh my gosh, NASDAQ down 5% or 6% off the highs. The world is falling. But they forget that we're up 47% off the lows in less than a year. And historically, you're looking for about 10% a year annual return on the NASDAQ. So I think it's doing quite well.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the NASDAQ. In fact, I'm happy we're having a little cool off here, a little breather, a little correction, because you don't want just up only. Eventually, what happens is you form a massive bubble at that point, right? And there are already talks about bubbles, AI bubble, crypto bubble, I mean, everything bubble, right? Gold bubble. There's already those discussions. I don't think we're at risk of anything blowing up and melting down yet, but you kind of need these breathers. You need these opportunities to cool off, take profits, create a new price floor, and then we can move up from there. So I think this trade war was a bit of an excuse for that, frankly, and people should be looking at this as positive for your long-term time horizon and where we think things are going throughout end of this year and into 2026. So I'm not worried about the NASDAQ. My wife bought some dip yesterday. It was up, and now it's down, but we're long-term. It's going to sell in 10, 15 years. And
the trade war has brought some new life to gold. The target for gold was 39 to 4,000. We've had that target since like 3,000, and we said it could do a final push to like 4,200. I said that way back here. And gold did top out at 4,000, started dropping, was back down to 3,900. Now this trade war going on, and gold getting that breath of life, actually wicking this morning to 4180, just shy of that 4200 level. It is slowing down here. It is pretty interesting. I mean, gold is telling you what is going on, continues to rally here, coming into overhead targets and resistance when it comes to fib levels and breakout levels. When will Bitcoin catch up? Historically 60 to 80 days, but right now Bitcoin's trading a lot more like the NASDAQ or like a stock than it is gold. What's interesting is, NASDAQ was just at all-time highs. Bitcoin was right there, but we have gold breaking out to the upside. We have M2 money supply breaking out to the upside, and historically, Bitcoin follows that in a big way, and so do other risk-on assets like Ethereum, other cryptos, collectibles. Like, why isn't Bitcoin catching the bid yet? Or do you think the delay is still just underway, and people will wake up to the fact that, all right, Bitcoin is digital gold and should be seen as the same light as gold here, as kind of a hedge against the chaos that's going on globally.
We had caught the bid on Bitcoin a week ago, right? When was Bitcoin at all-time highs? That week ago, 2 weeks ago? I don't remember when that was. We were at $126,000 Bitcoin not that long ago. And then all this leverage bullshit, because unfortunately that's what crypto has largely become now, a leverage trader's playground. Flushed out a bunch of longs, crashed the price. There was manipulation. We cover that story quite a bit. And now we're, dealing with the aftermath of that. We will bounce back, though. Bitcoin will run again, and we will break its previous all-time high of 126,000. We'll hit that 130,000 mark. And then who knows, we'll probably have a flush out after that. That's the slow grind higher that we've been talking about. I don't think you're really going to get these, at least not in the foreseeable future, these multi-year bear markets anymore. I think it's going to become, and this is really the evidence plays it out, these 20% corrections, right? Followed by some consolidation, followed by a resumption of the slow grind up, similar to the gold chart, right? If you look over the past 10 years, that's kind of how gold operated until it's had this recent melt up. But to me, we're in a little bit of a correction territory, leverage traders, all that stuff. Bitcoin will run again. And even with this, by the way, even with gold massively pumping, Bitcoin underperforming, Anthony Pompliano put out a really informative tweet. Maybe you can pull that up. My screen share is all wonky. Showing the side-by-side historical price performances of Bitcoin next to gold, next to S&P 500. And even this year, where you'd assume, gold has got to be kicking Bitcoin's ass. Actually, no. Bitcoin's even outperforming gold this calendar year. Forget the previous ones where it absolutely blew it out the water. So Bitcoin, even with gold outperforming, still, if you take a long-term view, here we go. 1 year, Bitcoin up 80%, gold only 54.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. The hype around gold that we've always talked about this. Everybody's, oh my gosh, gold new all-time high, this, that, and the other. But percentage-wise, it isn't anything crazy when you compare it to Bitcoin over any cycle you want. That's why when Peter Schiff talks, it's actually very moronic because based on the percentages, Bitcoin was the play. And what's also interesting is I heard Thomas Lee talking, and he was quoting S&P 500, gold, and Bitcoin. But then you know what else he was quoting, Crypto Amaru? The outperformance of Ethereum over even Bitcoin for many of these same time periods. So since inception, Ethereum has actually outperformed Bitcoin. Most Bitcoin maxis won't tell you that, and Ethereum has been underperforming so far this cycle. But Ethereum historically does outperform, and let's see if we're right. And Ethereum wants to outperform Bitcoin for the remainder of this cycle. Whether you believe that's 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or even 12 more months, we should see a bid on Ethereum if the cycle and the phases play out like it has in the past.
Well, remember one thing about Bitcoin's price performance in any given year. There's normally, I think, 7 or 8 days where the price is just exploding. Massive outperformance on those 7 or 8 days. So if you miss those days, you're going to miss out on the gains. You have to be in the markets. That's one thing. But we just haven't seen, I think, the past few months, too many big explosive days stacked one after the next. Now, does that story play out again and again as years go by, or does the volatility go down a bit as the asset class matures? I tend to think the latter is going to start to apply here. But still, you got to be in the markets. Bitcoin, I think we're going to look back even on this year, and look, here's the data. Bitcoin still did better than gold, even when gold had its best year in the last 5 or 10 years, my guess.
Yeah, I mean, everybody wanted $10,000 candles on Bitcoin. We just didn't want them in the down direction. So, I mean, this just shows that kind of volatility is still possible. And now we needed to be in a liquidity crunch to the upside, short squeezes to the upside. And, maybe that comes the remainder of the cycle, and I really hope that becomes a thing. It is kind of crazy how quickly forget that, yeah, we were at all-time highs. October 6th, all-time highs, nobody really talking about it. And, you had MicroStrategy top blasting up there. They bought another 220 Bitcoin at 123,000 right before this liquidity crisis happened. I mean, man, it was only a week ago. We had all-time highs on Bitcoin. We had Ethereum knocking on all-time highs. We had BSC meme season printing us more BNB to our wallets. And then it all got crushed away. We can't have nice things because of leverage traders, manipulators, and market makers. Unbelievable. Let's see what happens now, though. That traditional market is open. If you're a bull here, you can say, hey, we're still holding a higher low. We filled the CME gap. Historically, we need to go higher. We have a more bullish regulatory coming. We got more QE coming. We got Bitcoin following the gold chart, which now is at $4,100. So hold on to your hats and let's see what's going on. Obviously, you want Bitcoin to hold that liquidity crunch low and hold this moving average and continue to try to march higher. Previously, when you saw this consolidation in Bitcoin, it allowed for speculation into ETH and into BNB and into altcoins. I just think there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt around the markets where I don't know if we get that alt season without Bitcoin getting a decisive new high underway and then allowing the markets to kind of roll into these other assets.
I mean, again, we have been creeping up on that greed and fear index. We were moving steadily into the greed territory as Bitcoin was running up towards all-time highs, and then bam, the leverage flush out hits everyone, and now we're spooked again. Now we're scared. Oh no! Oh, these markets are harder than we thought. It's not up only. Sometimes the market makers wash us out. So I think it's going to take a few more weeks for us to, price creep back up, get the greed back in the market a little bit. But this is the world we live in now with these leverage traders. You just have to kind of accept it until maybe, I don't know, the new regulations come out and perhaps try to police this a little bit more. I don't know if that's really going to happen. But for now, this is a story that you need to continue to follow and have in the back of your mind. The market makers and leverage traders and the exchanges, they are moving markets more than I think ever before. And, if you're in that game, good luck to you. But if you're spot, you just have to understand there's going to be volatility along the way. There's going to be the massive ups and the downs. But long term, we should grind higher. And in a year from now, I'm sure Bitcoin will be up another, 100% from where we're at today.
Yeah, and same story for Ethereum. Higher lows, again, we really want to keep these higher lows going. It got rejected at overhead resistance at the moving averages, so you need to attack that again, get above it, and turn that resistance into support. We can see Ethereum got rejected not once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times at the previous all-time high. Usually when you hit that resistance that many times, it continues to get weaker. Each and every time you go up there, you get a higher probability of breaking through to the upside. That's what we're looking for. That's what we need to see because we need to get above $5,000 to have fun. And who's trying to make that a reality? Well, Thomas Lee himself. Yes, if we go to the Strategic ETH Reserve website, what is this? BitMine now has over 3 million ETH, over 3% of the total supply. They were buyers of the dip in a big way. And remember, their target is still 5 million ETH. They need to buy another 2 million and lock it up. SharpLink Gaming, where are you at, boys? You guys have earned more Ethereum from your staking. We need you to go buy more ETH because your target is also 5 million ETH, and the Ether Machine's target is 10 million ETH if these guys can get some funding. That's the other thing. Why momentum can snowball quickly on ETH. Understand ETH price goes up, the Ethereum Strategic Reserve price goes up, easier to get institutional players to FOMO into investments in those, and they take that investment capital to do what? Buy more Ethereum. That's what we saw with Bitcoin, with MicroStrategy and others. They're still continuing to do that. But that raise and that momentum and that flywheel becomes a lot easier as price is going vertical because they just keep flushing in and they FOMO into those green candles as well. That's what we need to see. That's what we're going to see above $5,000. Not only will retail be winning in rolling funds from ETH into altcoins, but these big dogs will be winning in raising hundreds of millions of dollars to keep the bid side very active on Ethereum and keep buying up that chart.
All it takes is one tweet from Donald Trump. Hey, we love China again. China, China, China. The trade war is over. We resolved it. Or even hinting at, we're negotiating. We're hugging and we're best friends again. And then we're going to see, 5% candle immediately and greed back on and, Michael Saylor and Tom Lee, and they can raise funds again to pour back in the market. So right now there's a little bit of FUD, a little bit of uncertainty, but it can switch like that. The other catalyst, too, that's coming, we haven't talked about the Fed in a while, but, we have a meeting in 2 weeks. So we are going to get that rate cut. 25 basis point, I think, is pretty much a foregone conclusion here. I don't think we get the 50 unless we see more deterioration in the labor market. But that's it. I don't know if it's priced in. Maybe it's priced in. Doesn't feel priced in. It feels like, we've been ignoring the Fed for a few weeks here, and no one's thinking about that. But 2 weeks is not that long from now, so we got multiple catalysts coming, guys. I think $5,000 ETH in the cards one way or another, and it's just going to take a little bit more patience.
Who else thinks $5,000 ETH? That is Richard Hart. He's been tweeting a lot lately. There's a couple news updates around him, but here's kind of his predictions He sees the bubbles keeping growing for Ethereum and the bubble not popped. His top end of this bubble isn't until 2026, and he's looking for over $10,000 ETH. So he's kind of on the extension of this cycle as well. Now, some people say, well, technically, we could go to January, not have an extended cycle. But you can clearly see his bubble is into 2026 and above 5 figures for Ethereum. That would be lovely. Not only for ETH, lovely for all of crypto, and of course, lovely for Pulse Chain, who still owns 160,000 ETH. Another thing about Pulse Chain, we talk about that sacrificed wallet, all that Ethereum moved, and now the classification on the Interpol case has been updated as of October 2nd. Is Richard Hart paying the Interpol case off? Is that going to be resolved? Is he going to go live again? Who really knows? All I know is I will give a like to anybody who says ETH is going higher, and we want to see ETH higher for Pulse Chain. He's been very active here. He's starting to clip some of his old videos. I would love to see him go live again. He even sharing Bitcoin charts. If you didn't make any money on this in 14 years, you have to shut the fuck up. I'm speaking to you, no coiners that think you're smart. Kind of inferring every dip that we have, you get the Peter Schiffs of the worlds coming out and screaming that Bitcoin's going to zero. But when you zoom out, look at that price performance. I think anybody in any investment class would want that. So, you know, the old Richard Hart's coming back. I love the activity. He did just post another one where he's saying, I keep hearing that green candles are the best marketing. Actually, marketing is best marketing. That is something I would disagree with him on because, yes, in crypto, the best marketing is green candles. A prime example of that on his own chain, on Pulse Chain, is Peacock. Everybody wrote Peacock off. Nobody's talking about Peacock. Peacock is dead. Why is that? Well, let's look at the chart here. Why did that become the narrative? That is because the chart saw red candles. This chart looks a lot like Surf, by the way. Saw red candles. Everybody wrote it off. And then, what do you know? Oh my gosh, rounded bottom, buybacks and burns, using revenue for buys. People are catching on, green candles. And look at the momentum and the FOMO that happens in the charts. That is because of the first green candle, the first buyback here. The best marketing in crypto is green candle, so I do disagree with that if you're listening, Richard Hart. You'll never change my mind. That's part of the reason that people even get into crypto is green candles, financial freedom, speculating, hopes, dreams, and FOMO. And FOMO is driven by green candles, not by marketing. It is way harder to onboard people onto a chain or any asset when price goes down. Nobody wants to buy red candles. Nobody has the balls and the conviction to buy the lows. That goes with the old meme. The line for Bitcoin when Bitcoin is 1,000 was like 3 people. The line for Bitcoin when it was 100,000 for the first time was out the door. That applies to anything, any investable asset class, any collectible, and you won't change my mind on that. What do you think?
Yeah, no, hard to argue with that. I mean, the only pushback I could theoretically give is to get the green candle sums you do need. Well, you need a catalyst off, and you could argue, hey, well, the catalyst was sellers ran out of steam, and a buyer stepped in and did a big buy, and so that started, and that was just a green candle. But oftentimes it's a specific catalyst, maybe a marketing-related catalyst, maybe some big announcement or something like that. But yeah, at the end of the day, look, price seems to be going up for people to care. That applies to any asset, certainly Pulse Chain. Richard knows this. He should know it anyway. And I think he is going to do something about it here when the time is right. The market's not really there yet, though. I mean, look, imagine if he started pouring a bunch of money into the Pulse Chain cores right now. How many people would hold, PLS if it did a 50% gainer in a day? Not a lot. A lot of people would just dump. So you sort of have to wait for the whole macro situation and alt season to come into effect, and then you can start pushing money and pushing marketing, and you'll have meaningful impact. Otherwise, people are just selling these green candles for the most part. So
yeah, and really it's about just building higher lows, which currently he is doing, or the market is doing, whatever you want to say. So PLS is putting in higher lows. That's what you want to continue to do. Let's keep reading through this so we can make commentary on Richard Hart's post here. So I guess I'll repeat myself. You see those green things? Those are green candles. Did you see an influx of new users? No. What you saw was you guys clicking the sell button. You all love the sell button, but you all don't take any responsibility for clicking red instead of green. So my argument would be this. These green candles, yes, people are taking profits, but I do believe there was an influx of Pulse Chain users. Now, is it massively? I mean, there wasn't really an alt season. There really wasn't an influx to people to ETH or BSC until lately, until there was green candles. But I would argue that there was influx of new users. Because why did Crypto Paradise decide to get involved and launch Surf Token on Pulse Chain? That's because of the upside potential. We launched actually at the low of one of these run-ups, and that's why Surf did so well. You also, if you didn't have these green candles or these opportunities with PTGC, the opportunities in Pulse Chain, the speculation of what's going on, there's a lot of people in the Learn Crypto community that never would have gone on Pulse Chain. If it wasn't for the vision of Richard Hart, if it wasn't for the massive rallies, the SEC beat rally, and all these other things, the massive growth of PTGC, I wouldn't have as much money on Pulse Chain as I did. There would be no incentive. I would have thrown my first bit of money in there. We wouldn't have been up. I wouldn't have talked about Pulse Chain. I wouldn't have talked about the gains of PTGC. I wouldn't have got Learn Crypto people in low on PTGC. You wouldn't have got Crypto Paradise people in. Like, if there is not money being made, and this is an investment class. This isn't tech. This isn't a platform and protocol that people are actively using in their daily life as of now. It's about investing. It's about making money. It's about speculating on the future growth of the underlying product and network. And if that speculation goes away or the gains go away, people will go elsewhere. We just saw it. A mass exit. Hundreds of millions of dollars exiting from Solana to BSC because what? CZ got active. Memes are growing up. New products released that were making people money. So at the end of the day, this is all about making money. And I do believe that these periods of green candles, if you look at volume generation, user growth, new wallet ads, and really just the marketing, people like ourselves talking about not just BSC, but hey, have you seen what's going on with Pulse Chain? It went up 1,000% off the low. None of that happens if you didn't have those rallies.
You gotta give people a reason to hold, right? I think he's bemoaning the fact that, oh, you guys are complaining about price, but as soon as there's a green candle, you sell and you guys cheat out and then you complain about price. It's like, but it's, so it's your fault, Jeets. And, there's truth to it, I guess. But you got to give people reason to hold, whether that's marketing, whether that's just more activity on the chain, whether that's new projects launching, whether that is innovations happening, whether that is big green candles coming in because he took money from the sacrifice wallet and dumped it into the market. There's many different things that he can do. You got to give people reason to hold or else they will move elsewhere where, folks like CZ, he's giving plenty of reasons to buy and hold and keep speculating, keep investing. Not saying copy him one for one, but you got to do something, and then folks will hold. If you give them reason to hold, they'll hold. In my experience, so let's let this consolidation play out. Let's let ETH run up above 5,000. I think that's a critical catalyst for Pulse Chain to do well, or many alts to do well, frankly. And then let's see what Richard does, in that environment.
And then the last thing that I do agree with, he says the chain is great. Tons of supply has been burnt. It only needs marketing. And if you all could keep your tiny little fingers off the red button for a few minutes, it's easier. The chain is great. Obviously, it's a copy state of Ethereum with some extra enhancements, more throughput, cheaper transactions, faster transactions, etc. So that's great. The tech is there and it's proven. Tons of supply has been burnt. This is the one reason that we love Pulse Chain. The building and the functions of Pulse Chain is very benevolent, meaning everything that's built on there, whether it's pump tires, whether it's PulseX, whatever, it is using revenue to buy and burn the token supply, creating deflationary token economics and buy-side support. There is no devs extracting funds. There is no, pump fund where they extract 700 million. Pump tires literally locks up PLS and burns PLSX. So I do agree with you there. It only needs marketing. Here's the thing. There's plenty of people marketing, but many KOLs in the space, the big dogs especially, the Rand Nooners, the Jake Goggins, the James Wins, the Ivan on Tex, they are promoting what is going up. They promote what is making them money. They promote what is making their community money. Because in this world of investing, whether you're Thomas Lee and Kathy Wood or whether you're degenerate crypto hitman on Crypto Paradise, you only get exposure. You only get wins if you put dollars in the wallets of viewers. So marketing comes when green candles happen, when there's speculation and investment thesis, something to promote where you have a higher conviction than not that you're going to be right to make money, that you're going to be right to get clout, and that you're going to be right so your community can make money as well.
Yeah, there's nothing to disagree with you there. I just think that right now, where we are in this market cycle, we're not in an alt season by any stretch of the imagination. CZ, with his billions of dollars and his sheer willpower, has created a mini little alt season on BNB chain that arguably lasted 3 days.
Yeah, true.
So it would be very tough to swim upstream. Now, I'll be singing a different tune if we get to a place in the market where things are pumping, random chains are going up. Oh, look, Sui's outperforming. Random shitty L2s are doing well, and Pulse Chain's still floundering, and Richard's still, putting out hostile tweets or whatever. And then I'll be disappointed. But right now, it's kind of like, let's just wait for the macro and the overall altcoin situation to sort of improve a bit, and then let's go heavy with the things that pump the chain. Part of that's marketing, but part of it's going to be putting capital in there. And then yeah, if you get the likes of Ivan on Tech and Randy Nooner, etc., excited about it because price is going up, or maybe incentivize them with some tokens, yeah, you'll see how bullish things can get. So great conversation here. I'm glad people are tuning in and chiming in. I think we agree. I mean, it's a bullish post. I love how active Richard has been getting over the past few days, and even I've watched some of his videos that he's reposted. I'm like, oh shit, that's super insightful. You know, this guy does know what he's talking about. I can see why people follow him.
Well,
You know, so I love that.
he must be watching. He must be watching. You know, I was disagreeing with his green candles, and literally immediately, if a giant green candle pops up in the woods and no one sees it, doesn't make a sound. I don't know how to interpret that. It doesn't make a sound. But when people go check their wallets, they're gonna be like, "Holy shit! Look at that green candle! I need to FOMO more. I need to tell my grandma to full pour her life savings into this shit because we're all gonna be rich. I'm gonna retire generational wealth for my family. My children's children are winning on Pulse Chain." And then that's the marketing that you get. That's the clickbaits on TikTok, and that's where you get people to full port. And those people will most likely be losers and round trip the bag. But that gets winners on the chain, and that will get people like us talking about Pulse Chain instead of BSC at the top of the hour.
Hex feeling it. Hex is feeling a little down. You know, hard to disagree with you, man. I mean, this year has sucked for alts. Outside of 3 days of B&B season, I can't really think of alts doing too much. And we've had some winners just because we bought in super early, like day one, and even when they go down, you're still up. I mean, I can think of probably 5 or 10 examples of that. I mean, Surf's a great example. You're still up like, I don't know, 100x from the lows. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, it's been a struggle for alts. I think that's one big reason why it's been leverage trading season, right? It's been perp season, perp deck season, because that's, you know, there's no money to be made in alts. DGen's got to go somewhere else to speculate. So yeah, it's been tough. It's been tough for alts. It's been tough for Pulse Chain. But just because something is bad now and down now and hurts now doesn't mean that's always going to be the case. This entire run has been in the face of high interest rates, quantitative tightening, right? It's been the face of Bitcoin dominance being historically high for this almost entire alt season. I mean, we've had days here and there where it like drops to 50 and then like the next day it's back to like 55. We haven't seen that. What is it, like 40% of major alt season? But we just haven't had it. The environment hasn't been there. But that's not to say it can't and won't happen, guys. So just hang in there. Be patient. Alt season will come. I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't know if your bags will pump. But we will have an alt season, and it's going to be glorious.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, it hasn't been fun. But, I mean, we've got a lot of winners, more winners than losers, and rode some good rallies in the finite amount of time that you had. It's just, you know, when it comes to alt season, 2017 cycle was much easier. It was less options, but also we had a very definitive alt cycle. And 2020 and 2021, the thing got a little delayed out because the alt cycle really didn't happen until Bitcoin did its first all-time high and it dumped and everybody thought it was over. And then that second rally of Bitcoin is when alts really came to life. And now this cycle, it really seems to me that, hey, there's a possibility that you're not on a 4-year cycle, on a 5-year cycle. And that could explain why the phase one, the Bitcoin phase, continues to be so elongated. And everybody's mentally skewed because they think we only got 1 month, 2 months, 3 months left in the cycle. And they're like, how can we have an alt cycle? The top is here in 2 months. Well, maybe we haven't had that because the phases are elongated and we are in 2026. Now, I'm not saying that's a guarantee, and we need to try to take profits when we can and still try to get on runners and find early conviction plays at very low valuations. But that is a possibility. And we're in the same trenches as you. We're doing the same thing as you. We're trying to give you guys some profitable trades on large caps, trying to find gems that you can get quick flips on, and trying to find long-term convection plays like the Surf that are doing fair launches that you have an opportunity to buy in at 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, 300,000 market caps that ran to 4 million. And yes, it's back to 500, 600,000 market cap, but you're still up on that. You're still incentivized to hold because you're getting paid a passive income. There's still token supply being burnt out of supply, and you're getting benefits like the Frontier Fund that is putting profits in your pocket as well for being a Surf token holder. So, I mean, over time, memes are great, but if they don't bring something to the table, how are they going to survive? And that's why we like projects like PTGC that has the token economics to make it sustain. Like Peacock that is using revenue from the #1 bridge on Pulse Chain to make it sustain. Like Surf, who has people going out here trying to provide values to Surf holders, whether it's just the token price go up or whether it's other perks by being a holder that is going to benefit your bags, your wallets, and your life as well. So that's what we're trying to do here. We're weeding through the same weeds as you. It's not all glory. We wish it was all season 2 because that means more marketing deals for us, more money for us, more buybacks and burns of surf, more wins for the community, and more IRL events so we can shake your hands and we're all winning together. Right now we're finding wins, but it's just enough to keep getting by. It's just enough to keep speculating on the potential upside and keep stacking a little bit of Bitcoin, a little bit of ETH, and a little bit of BNB with those wins as well.
Got to enjoy the journey, folks. You know, the riches don't feel quite as good if you haven't struggled through the shit. Just remember that, right? So, just enjoy this, guys. I know it's not easy. The ups, the downs, the sideways, oh my God, my bags are going down. I mean, it's not fun. Let's just be honest about it. But hey, it's going to feel all the sweeter when your bags are finally pumping and, you'll be reminded to take some profits along the way because you'll remember, shit, this could disappear in a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months. I got to take some profits. So all season's going to come. Right now, we're wading through the shit. I'm kind of enjoying being pre-rich. You know the saying, mo money, mo problems? Well, we don't have that problem now. We don't have mo money, mo problems. We have less money, less problems. So, just enjoy it, guys. I know it sucks. But patience, patience, patience. First, middle, and last name. That's how you're going to survive in these markets. And we just got to wait for things to get a little bit better here.
Is there any other questions, comments, or concerns? We've talked about BNB. We looked at the chart of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and we talked a lot about Richard Hart. Is green candles the best marketing in crypto? I think so. He does not think so, but I disagree with him wholeheartedly on that. And it's a lot easier to onboard people when the other people on the chain are making money. The other thing is the timing. History repeats itself, and why Q4s are always bullish, even in bear market seasons, is because you go see your friends and your families. You talk about your wins. You talk about crypto. You make them understand. You help them set up accounts, and you get them to fund those accounts and buy the assets you like. And a lot more people will be talking about Pulse Chain if we get some green candles before the holiday. Same thing applies to Ethereum. Same thing applies to Bitcoin. So we'll see how that all lays out. A couple weeks from now is the first of the holidays, Halloween, and then we go directly into Thanksgiving, and then we go into Christmas and New Year's. And hopefully we're not sitting in the corner hoping nobody talks to us about crypto, and we're the ones walking in looking nice and being like, hey, did you guys see Bitcoin at 150,000? Yeah, you should have bought. The next best time to buy is tomorrow versus yesterday. So go ahead and go get a Coinbase set up. I'll help you set it up too. I'll get my $10 referral and get you to buy some Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's the vibe I want this year, and that's the vibe that we all deserve.
You just gave me a great idea, Nick. I've been struggling. What am I going to be for Halloween this year? My kids, they got their costume picked out. My wife, she's scoping out some stuff on Amazon. Do you think there exists a large Bitcoin costume that I can just rock, walking up and down the streets of my town? Bitcoin, baby, Bitcoin. And then we can go live, too. We can go live. I'll be in my Bitcoin outfit. You can get some, I don't know what, maybe you want to dress as Richard Hart. Who knows? We'll figure it out. But we're doing Bitcoin costumes this year, crypto-related costumes this year. We are single-handedly willing this bull run to existence. We're onboarding our retail, non-degen friends, one man at a time, one Halloween at a time. So don't let me forget this. I gotta look for a Bitcoin costume now. But I think, look, there is actually a great chance, in all seriousness, that we are above $130,000 in 2 weeks from now. We just saw a $20,000 price swing to the downside in a day, didn't we? Right? Who's to say we can't do a $20,000 or a couple of $10,000 swings to the upside, and then we're there. Then we're back at 130K, or we're at 130,000. We could well be at that with the rate cuts coming on October 30th. Halloween's the next day, and my Bitcoin costume's gonna be looking fresh.
Yeah, I mean, we are seeing a couple people in the surf DAO joining. Primarily, they're not very much degens, and they're, obviously they buy surf and hope the price goes up, but they're joining there to get opportunities, whether it's pre-sale or to get into the Frontier Fund, because they see the results of the investment capital there. Frontier Fund so far in the chop is winning, outperforming just hodling Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I think a lot of people who are new to crypto see that as a great investment opportunity, and people have helped them on board, Richard, into Pulse Chain, on board into Surf Token, to then invest in funds that are, again, supporting Pulse Chain growth, because the only way to get into the Frontier Fund is by getting on Pulse Chain and buying the Surf Token. So there is people out there marketing. I know he's not saying everybody, and we're doing our part, and we try to talk about as much as we can with PulseChain. But I'm telling you, as a KOL, influencer, investor, whatever you want to call us, it is so much easier to get people interested in onboarding to your chain when price go up. So whether you want to agree or disagree that Green Candles is marketing, why is it so much easier to talk about, to get motivated to talk about, and to onboard people when price goes up? That's human nature in anything, and that's why we need price go up, Richard.
Price go up, price go up. Let's make it happen. No, I don't think anyone's going to disagree with you, man. It's an obvious statement, but we're just not there yet. We are not quite there yet for PLS and Hex, etc. Although they've doing decently in the past week. I think to get sustained uptrend, you really need to see Ethereum above 5,000. To get Ethereum above 5,000, you need Bitcoin above 130. To get Bitcoin above 130, you need Fed to cut rate again, and maybe Trump to do some bullish shit and get this trade war resolved and get these earnings seasons out. I mean, everything's all correlated and interconnected now, guys. So, yeah, you need some stars to align. You need some catalysts. But, hey, we're waiting. You should continue to wait. And why not enjoy it in the meanwhile? I want to see you guys. Let's get dressed up. All the Crypto Paradise community members, I want to see you dressed up as crypto-related characters for Halloween. Wouldn't that be great?
I want to give a quick shout out before we wrap it up to some tokens that we want to shout out here, both on BSC and PulseChain. Of course, BSC itself, Binance Supercycle, give you the shout out. Bear AI just did a fair launch at like $10,000 market cap, sitting at $50,000 market cap now on PulseChain. We want to get him on there. We want to see some demos of those products because, again, token economics are great there. If they get a user base, they will be using revenue to buy and burn the token. Gotta love it. Yepe, the yellow Pepe on BSC, shout out to you. BNB meme season, shout out to you. SZN is the ticker there. Palu, gotta love the little boo-boo of Binance. Great projects on PulseChain. Well, you got UFO and PTGC have made us a lot of money. Peacock is ripping off the lows. When everybody doubted that chart, oh my gosh, look at this ugly chart. Gabloom, exploded. Hopefully, the Surf token can follow in the footsteps there by putting revenue to work. And what else is going on? We got X Protocol with Coach X. We got the Rome token. I mean, just keeping it enduring. We gave you the call at 15K, gave you the call at 38K, ran to 400K, got hacked, went to 5K. Everybody else would have given up. The founder is not. They continue to onboard new users, new gamers, pay out real funds, and that's back up to $52,000 market cap, a 10x off that low after the hack. Shout out to you guys. And yeah, fuck 9 to 5 over on Solana. Went up to 1.6 million. We had the liquidation crisis that dropped to 500K. Now it's back to 750 or 800K. So they are staying active over there. And the Solana trenches aren't completely dead. You also have GPC, the going parabolic charity coin over there. You got what the fuck? Why am I? Let's just call him going parabolic. A big Bitcoiner, kind of embracing the Solana trenches with his charity coin there, and that one is still active as well and producing yield for charity. So there's some shout outs. Not really any green in the markets today, but those are projects that we are invested in, we're up on, we made trades on, whatever the case may be, that continue to stay active whether the markets are up or down.
And don't forget Plenismoon. They launched their first of their 8 coins yesterday. Noah launched at $7,000 market cap, ready to run to about 50, I think it was. Now chilling around 20 after the standard day 2 correction, the bot sell off. But remember, the token taxes are there, burning tokens, generating revenue for the projects, which will be going to charitable activities. I know the founder's working on some food bank donations. There's going to be some marketing over there. So if you like faith-based coins, Christian-based coins with a charitable bent, also benefits holders with their series of airdrops and that big bag of PLS. It's building up over time. Do not sleep on Plenismoon. I really like the founder. I know, look, everything on PulseChain's down and everyone's just cheating out the second they have profits. But to me, that one is highly undervalued at $20,000 market cap. So many undervalued gems on PulseChain, right? I mean, they're all of them are primed for 10x. At least, I think, during in this alt season that we keep talking about.
And that's a proxy of what Richard said, where, organic growth is slow. There is some wallets. But if the people on the chain don't have a lot of excess funds, it's hard to want to sell something you're down on to try to chase something else. So when gains happen, that's when people take froth and they broaden their portfolio and look at other opportunities. And that's what we're hoping occurs on PulseChain. And then the tide raises all ships, and then the good ships sail away into the sunset and produce riches for their community. Bitcoin Nice rally here up to 111.785. Will we get back to 112 or above today? And will the CME gap filling be all we need to resume the uptrend? We shall see. It could be a W bottom for forming on Bitcoin. And Trump, if you are listening, go make a deal with China before the end of the month. That would be great.
It's going to happen. I mean, these guys love to bluster, bloviate, threaten each other, and then they come to the table and negotiate something. Whether that thing ends up being good, bad, it doesn't really matter. The market's just going to say, hey, trade war's off, we can resume up only again. So, this is how it's played out every other time with these, quote, trade wars. I don't foresee anything different happening this time. But you know what's going to make it all better and make us forget our woes in these markets? The coconut costume. We got to get a coconut costume for Halloween. I'll be researching on Amazon. Remy, you've just given me another task to do today. I got a tough life. I got to research coconut costumes on Amazon now. Also a Bitcoin costume. Halloween is a multi-day event here in, I think, most of the U.S. Certainly my town. Because you got Friday with the kids and the school. And then I think Halloween itself is on a Saturday, doing the trick-or-treating, maybe an after party, and then Sunday we relax and watch football.
There we go. Yeah, we got to look at, there are some coconut costumes out here, and then there's also the costumes of the women with the coconut top on, like hula dancers. So maybe I need to get the wife wearing one of those. Who knows?
Okay. Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, let's just have fun, guys. What are you going to do right now? We're making, it's not getting you rich overnight, but I will say that the charts keep putting in higher lows. So the trend is your friend, and the trend is higher.
It's all about cobbling together some sort of gains and passive income and returns during this period of the market that's been somewhat slow and languishing for altcoins, and that's where Frontier Fund comes in. I mean, everyone's salty the market's down, and memes are down, and I'm not loving it either. But then I just think for a second, like, oh wait, Frontier Fund made me like thousands of dollars this month. I didn't lift a finger. So you guys can be enjoying those passive income gains too if you want to get involved. 400,000 surf. You can get in the next round of Frontier Fund, which I think is going to be coming up pretty soon here. I mean, they've been doing this round 2 for going on, I think, 45 or 50 days. So my guess is round 2 is wrapping up soon, and they're going to move into round 3 in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere around October 25th or something like that, right before the Fed is due to cut rates.
Yeah, so
if you want to participate in that, we'll see what the results are. You'll get more videos from us as that wraps up. But you start accumulating your 400,000 surf because that's what you need to be a participant. If you're a current participant, your wallets will be checked after the round as well. So if for some reason you sold off some of your surf and you make all these gains on Frontier Fund, if you want to get in again, that wallet will be checked. You need 400,000 surf in there. Otherwise, you will not be allowed back in. You will take your profits and you will run away into the sunset and lose it all in the trenches.
Now, our surf community members, our DAO members are loyal. I know they're still holding a lot of surf. In fact, we haven't really lost any DAO members, only gained DAO members, even during this period of Pulse Chain underperformance, which I think speaks to what we're doing here at Crypto Paradise. It speaks to some of the folks in the DAO who are referring their friends. Shout out to Jordan. We actually owe you 10% referral fee. I forgot. Now I've reminded myself. And Frontier Fund, I think, is a big part of it as well. So a lot of reasons to get involved. 200,000 surf to enter, 400,000 surf to get those exclusive opportunities. And, maybe Richard Hart, start to press the buy button, Pulse Chain pumps, and then your surf bags are up 3, 5, 10x before you know it.
Morale and momentum shifts very quickly in crypto, and that's because you can get those massive green candles. So let's hope for that. We need to get all-time highs. All-time highs in Bitcoin doesn't get retail excited anymore. We need the all-time highs in Ethereum, and I think maybe we'll start getting that excitement. I mean, look at BNB even. Not in the news because it's China coin, according to a lot of the headlines, I guess. Who knows? But even that did spur some life into the retail trenches, and we need that to continue.
Yeah, you need sustained more than 3 days of
up
only. I mean, obviously BNB has been like a multi-month pump, but for alts and stuff, you need more than 3 days of green market. It's just been tough, but it sort of goes back to our thesis. In all likelihood, this cycle, it's going to mirror the business cycle. It's going to mirror the Fed rate cut cycle, and that means we are more than likely going to extend this out into 2026. And so I know this year sucked and it's been hard, and Haven't seen the gains we expected, but I think we're going to see a lot of that happening towards the end of this year and into 2026. So just hang on to your hats, be patient, and yeah, until next time, guys, we will see you on the beach.